Hello and welcome to the agenda. I am Ajay Kaul. Today we will discuss about the possible outcome of FATF meeting which will decide the fate of Pakistan. The Financial Action Task Force or FATF, which is a global watchdog on terror financing, has begun a 4-day crucial meeting during which it will decide the fate of Pakistan. The meeting, which will last till 25th of February, will decide whether Pakistan should remain in its grey list, which is a monitoring list, or whether it should be blacklisted for continued support to terrorism. The FATF has been asking Pakistan to fulfill certain obligations, following which it can be removed from the grey list. So, has Pakistan done enough to exit the grey list? We will analyze this in the agenda today with two experts. We have with us retired Brigadier Vinod Datta and Mr. Jitendra Kumar Oja, who is an expert on geopolitical matters. But before we begin our conversation, let's have a look at this small report.
Pakistan's actions or inactions with regard to support to terrorism is being again reviewed by the Financial Action Task Force or FATF, which is a global watchdog on terrorism. The Paris-based FATF began its 4-day plenary meeting yesterday in virtual format to decide the fate of Pakistan amid indications that the country is unlikely to exit the grey list. Pakistan has been in the grey list since June 2018, which means it has been under high degree of scrutiny of the FATF in the context of money laundering and terror financing. The plenary will assess whether Pakistan has taken all the 27 steps mandated by the FATF to end state support to terrorism. During the last plenary held in October last year, the FATF had found that Pakistan had failed to fulfill 6 of the 27 obligations mandated by the watchdog. The failures included concrete action against Jaish-e-Mohammed chief Masood Azhar and Jamaat-ul-Dawa chief Hafiz Saeed, who are the masterminds of umpteen terror attacks in India. After the meeting in October, the FATF had warned Pakistan that it could be blacklisted if it does not meet all obligations. If blacklisted, Pakistan will not be able to receive aid from international financial bodies like the World Bank, IMF and Asian Development Bank. Bureau Report.
Now let's welcome our guests, Brigadier Datta and Mr. Oja. Welcome to the program, both of you, sir.
Thank you.
So first let me go to Brigadier Datta about FATF meeting which is underway virtually from France. So, as you know, Pakistan's case is being decided and assessed. So, what do you think? Why should Pakistan be removed from the grey list, or should it be blacklisted?
Good evening, Ajay. Pakistan was placed in grey list in June 2018, and it continues to be in that list ever since. And Pakistan has been trying all kind of stunts to remain there because Pakistan knows that it cannot graduate any further, and it has all the chances of getting relegated to the blacklist. But the support by these some of the Muslim countries like Malaysia, China, and Turkey also in past has given this edge to Pakistan because even 2 or 3 countries, if they support Pakistan, it becomes very difficult for Pakistan to come down to the blacklist. Enough evidence is available with the FATF and with other international platforms that Pakistan is the epicenter of all these terrorist activities. So my earnest request is to these financial watchdogs or FATF and such like this thing, that enough of dossier endorsing has been done, and Pakistan has not been doing anything substantial to take the country forward. It is exporting terrorism to all the countries, And the Muslim countries also should realize, the Muslim nations should realize that they are the worst affected by this terrorism. क्योंकि जितनी दहशतगर्दी उनके देशों में जितनी तबाही मचाई है, शायद ही किसी दूसरे देश में ऐसा हुआ है. So it is high time that these countries should realize that they should think in the larger interest of the world rather than being.
But if we go by the last meeting, I don't think any Muslim country except for Turkey supported Pakistan. And Malaysia was earlier because of Mahathir Mohamad. Now Mahathir Mohamad is not the prime minister there. So there is regime change. I don't think Malaysia is also supportive. So only there is only one country, that is Turkey, which is supportive of Pakistan as of now.
I agree with you, because it was only Turkey which supported it. Even China was, not supporting Pakistan. So, that's a good trend which is being seen. But the FATF should realize that one country, and if you see the, अगर आप उसकी तारीख में जाएं टर्की में, the Turkey's background and history is replete with the cases of terrorism and anarchy which is there in that country.
Right.
So they should totally ignore those recommendations, and it is high time that they should place Pakistan into blacklist.
Right. So I'll go to Mr. Oja. As you heard Brigadier Datta, that Pakistan deserves to be in the blacklist. What do you say? Of course, you will agree. But isn't it that FATF has given a long rope to Pakistan?
100% agree that Pakistan deserves to be blacklisted, and there's need for far more than this. But I agree with him that Muslim nations should realize there are geopolitical interests and new alignment is coming up. You see, for a long time, we have to go back in when we talk about history, I would like to go back in the history for a long time. Till 9/11, Pakistan had been indulging in all kinds of terror activities with complete patronage of the most powerful democracy. Only 9/11 changed things. What has happened that, FATF body, very noble intent it has some really committed people, there is no doubt at all about it. But, in the world, when we talk about geopolitics, these terror groups or this Islamic radicalism has been used in the past as a strategic tool to further geopolitical interests by certain powers, and these are not entirely all Muslim countries. Yes, Muslim countries do provide a fodder for recruitment, etc. How Pakistan is operating, I must tell you. Pakistan has, transitioned in multiple ways. And right now, Pakistan enjoys considerable clout in quite democratic countries as well. You see, despite Osama bin Laden being caught here, nothing has happened to Pakistan.
Right.
Americans depend on Pakistan for extricating themselves out of Afghanistan. Yeah. Now they have found a new patron in China. Turkey, Malaysia and Iran, this new configuration is coming up. Yes, Iran is also accused of, planning terror in West Asia. But we do enjoy good equations with Tehran. But, this is not very simple, I would say, Ajayji. People in FATF are very keen. APG, all this Asia-Pacific group on money laundering and countering terror finance, they came out in their reports 2019, again 20. They had clearly highlighted that how Pakistan had not adhered to most of the FATF guidelines. Right. And despite that, nothing happened, I must tell you. And there were even European countries. Large number of European countries also depend on Pakistan for their counter-terrorist strategies. So this is a very complex thing. FATF should go to what extent this is going to work out. We don't know. There will be pressure because these bodies are also coming under pressure from powerful countries. But nevertheless, this will be a very significant step if it works out. Pakistan has already intensified propaganda. They are claiming that terror attacks have thinned down. They have managed to reduce this thing, and it is high time these sanctions should be eased. But let me tell you, time is one area where Pakistanis enjoy worldwide clout, and they may be having patrons or partners all over, and they have created massive infrastructure of terror. This is not going to be, dismantled in a hurry. So I think we need to put in a lot more effort than what we are doing. We need to engage everyone, and we need to make conscious efforts at all levels, including, as I said, curbing organized crime on Indian territory. This is a very complex war, Ajayji. It is difficult for average people to, get to the bottom of it. But let me tell you, it is not only Muslim countries. A lot of powerful countries who also have their own agenda for some reason or the other. Since Pakistan is located here, they are very keen to ensure that Pakistani activity does not harm them beyond a point. And they also consider, some of them, Pakistan as a kind of collaborator. They would like to put some pressure on Pakistan, but not entirely. It is for us. We are the biggest this thing. Can you imagine that 84% of the world drug is in Afghanistan? And who's controlling that? Pakistan through its proxy called Taliban. Why can't we do something on curbing that kind of drug menace? Because it impacts everyone. So, FATF can do a limited amount of useful things, but let us be very clear, it's not going to be that easy. We all would wish that Pakistan is placed in blacklist. Let us see how much resolve this body can see and how much Western countries can also come to this kind of position.
But as you mentioned about Muslim countries, I think no country, as I mentioned earlier, Saudi Arabia, UAE and others,
Yes.
they all recognize that Pakistan is supporting terrorism, and they don't support it now. Whether it is beyond Kashmir, OIC, I mean, Pakistan is not getting support. But only FATF, they are, I think, giving a loose rope to Pakistan. Mr. Oja.
But not Muslim countries. You see, in APG, they were all European countries. Why didn't they speak on Pakistan? Pakistan had done everything in 2019 itself to be black. All these countries kept quiet. Out of 40 or 42 recommendations, sorry, I have not read this report recently.
27,
only one or two. Yeah.
27.
Yes, 27, but in they called the TFA, this analysis they had done on terror financing. So they had come out evaluated on 41 or 42 parameters. And out of it, only on one Pakistan had complied. Rest one they again appealed, and that was accepted that yes, they had complied. But on rest, maybe 27 rest, they had not complied at all. Because for some reason, even at local level, some bodies in Pakistan had tried to pursue it. There was some interference from military establishment from here and there, and they scuttled it. So it's just not possible. Let me also tell you, terror is an industry for Pakistani ruling syndicate. There's no democracy. They are selling their women to Chinese. Do they have any commitment to people of Pakistan? None. I'm sorry to say that. At one point of time, they were furthering strategic interests of United States containing Soviet Russia or Soviet Union for some reason. They become again a collaborator of promoting radicalism. Now they are trying to promote strategic interests of China. The ruling establishment of Pakistan has no commitment to people of Pakistan, and I feel India as a larger country, we need to do far more, not only containing on terror finance only, but we need to have a very broad and proactive strategy and agenda in this region, Ajay, and this should be part of it. And alongside terror, we have to destroy organized crime, because organized crime is a vehicle through which a small part is diverted towards terror activities.
Yeah. So, Brigadier Datta, as you heard Mr. Oja speaking that terrorism is an industry in Pakistan, and I think India needs to do much more than we are doing. What do you say?
Yeah, I agree with you, Ajay ji. If you just go back in the history, if you see the Punjab terrorism, the seeds were sown in 1958.
I'm so sorry, sir. I'm so sorry, sir. We should not bring Punjab here, though Punjab terrorism was also sponsored by Pakistanis.
No.
But I think this is entirely different.
No. I'm just telling you that how the terrorism is being exported and why, India has been the main target. And if you see in 1958, the seeds were sown, and the full-fledged, extremism came into 1994. And if you see 1996 CIA report, $60,000 were being given by ISI to Masood Azhar so that he can, spread terrorism. So these kind of evidences which are there, and yes, once you are placed in the, grey list, there are certain kind of strictures which are, to be imposed. There are certain kind of restrictions which are to be imposed. So the country cannot, clearly fund and nourish these tanzims which are there. Now, if you see, they're changing their names.
Yeah, please go on.
They're changing their names. They're changing their form and manifestation. They have started the charitable organizations. They have started some madrasas or educational institutions. And this is one of the points which is not deliverable by Pakistan. FATF has been saying that you have not been able to account for this kind of funding which is going to these charitable institutions, and then it gets diverted to these terrorist organizations.
No, this charitable institutions have been, that has been the trick played by Pakistan for decades, to give it a mask.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's all terrorism. Like Lashkar-e-Toiba was given the name of Jamaat-ud-Dawa, which is kind of.
Jamaatul Dawa, yeah, I agree with you. You see, like the TRF, which has just come up, it is nothing. It is the same,
Lashkar
wine
Taiba.
in the new bottle. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I'm sure there are people with lot of prudence, with lot of intelligence sitting at, such organizations like FATF and international, forums where they can, smell and sense all these activities. But unfortunately, nobody takes. And what Mr. Oja had said, I agree with him that, you see, the European countries are also not making a noise about it. And in a substantial manner with this terrorist activities.
Yeah, okay. Mr. Oja, I'll come to you. If you talk about European countries, as you mentioned
Please.
earlier. So now after this cartoon row, which recently when we saw
After this,
cartoon controversy, which
Yes.
led to killings in Paris and other European countries. Apparently, after that, Paris and other European countries are very angry over the behavior of Pakistan, because if you remember, Pakistan Prime Minister openly gave calls to kill people, and they held rallies and all other things. So apparently, now France is like pushing for blacklisting or Pakistan this time, because France is very angry. So what is so? I think Europe is also, taking a tough stand. What do you say?
Yes, they should take a little tougher stand. But what is China doing? China has virtually put most of the Muslims in Uyghur Muslims in concentration camps, forced them that they cannot wear beard, they cannot wear cap, they cannot go to mosque and things like this. And that China is supporting this thing. So let us be very clear, there are strategic interests also. Because many countries at one point of time, you see, even the most powerful democracy was thinking that yes, this is a doable thing, it is acceptable. Itself, Pakistan should have been placed in blacklist. Or was there any justification after even hijacking of Indian aircraft, which went to Air India, which went to Kandahar? Pakistan should have been placed in blacklist. After Osama bin Laden was detected, at that time also Pakistan should have been placed in blacklist. But there are some powerful forces which are not there in open. They have somehow been supportive of Pakistan. They have been giving some kind of strength to Pakistan. So things are not very simple and straightforward, Ajayji, as it may look like.
Yeah.
And as you're saying, is there any justification for China to support it? They are treating their own Muslims very differently, but none of the countries are talking about it. Europe also, there have been multiple bodies and entities, I would say, even in the United States, all these bodies have not been speaking in a cohesive voice or doing things in a cohesive voice. Right now, National Security Establishment of the United States is certainly very keen that action has to be taken on Pakistan. Because of Pakistan has managed to build a kind of clout in Afghanistan and various terror networks all over the world. Good number of European countries think, okay, Pakistan is maybe bad, but they have to deal with Pakistan. They need Pakistan as part of their counter-terrorist strategy. Today itself, I was listening in a lecture, rather 2-3 days old, from United States, and they've been saying this the same thing, that Pakistani state is required to some extent.
Yeah.
So they would like to put pressure on Pakistan, but they may not like to go beyond this. So I think this is test of this body. Whereas this body itself has been talking about very good things, very high ideals, and trying to talk about securing the world from both organized crime and terrorism. So it depends on this body how much it can prevail upon rest of the members to come out with something which really nails down Pakistan. But let me tell you, Pakistan has also intensified its propaganda and saying that there is no justification for keeping Pakistan.
Yeah.
A lot of people have been lobbying in favor of Pakistan.
That they will do, but if you talk about America, America is also upset recently. Daniel Pearl's murderer, Ahmad Omar Sheikh, has been acquitted, and America is upset over it. But can't do anything. Yeah.
No, let me tell you, America has never spoken in a single united, cohesive voice on issues. There are multiple lobbies. In America, the whole decision making depends on which group or which lobby, which faction is able to bring pressure on the government. And that is a big threat to the entire democratic world, one can say. The leader of democratic world, the most powerful democracy, it cannot arrive at cohesion, and various kind of pressure groups and lobbyists, etc. They continue to exercise their authority. And what happens in the era of lobbyism, I had spoken earlier also on your platform, that the kind of resources, funds, etc., Pakistani organized crime network is able to generate, it is much easier to create these lobbyists, etc., who can influence things. And this is what is Rather, I am not saying impacting us, it is impacting whole world.
Right.
And Pakistan may not be alone. Pakistan may be having some patrons and partners. So this is one thing, as a country, as a democratic country, as the biggest democracy in the world, who has been facing this challenge, we need to be more cognizant of this, Ajay.
Yeah. Brigadier Datta, as you heard about Mr. Oja talking about Afghanistan. So if you talk about Afghanistan, Afghanistan is also in shambles because of Pakistan. I mean, Afghanistan is troubled. We hear their leaders openly saying, their Vice President Saleh openly said that Taliban is just a proxy of Pakistan and we bleed because of Pakistan. And through, of course, Taliban, which is still in league with Al-Qaeda. But American establishment apparently is not ready to listen. What do you say?
Yeah, you see, Afghanistan has been the worst victim, and this land has been used by all the superpowers, be it Soviet Union, be it America, and when Afghanis they feel what you have said. I mean, they are right in their approach because what was Taliban? Taliban, they were churned out by from the Pakistani soil, and they were sent there, and now they have fallen back into Pakistan, and now they are creating trouble for. Now now the FATF meeting is around the corner. Pakistan has already started their agenda. They have already started that media campaign. Last time when Lakvi was arrested in January, and but the CTD, that counter-terrorism department, never declared that where was he arrested, how he was arrested, which jail he was, as a symbolic gesture, he was just taken to, I think, Kot Lakhpat jail.
No, he was not taken. I think to an undisclosed place, they said.
Yeah, correct.
It was not disclosed.
To the undisclosed.
They
could not even. Yeah, they could not even declare. Yeah. Like yesterday.
Now, so he may be in some five-star hotel.
Yeah, they are enjoying all the perks and privileges. The United Nations, you see, when a stipend of 1 lakh rupees, it was sanctioned that it should be given to him.
1.5 lakh.
Which is ridiculous.
1.5 lakh.
1.5 lakhs. Yeah, from, by all stretch of imagination, this is totally ridiculing the entire world opinion. Now, yesterday, you see, Major General Babar Iftikhar, he is the DG Inter-Services Public Relations. He has now, come out with another media gimmick by saying that, yes, we are celebrating 4 years of Raddul Fasad. That we are going hell on leather as far as terrorism and extremism is concerned. And he has been telling, normal, stable Pakistan, all these things, things are contrary. I mean, neither Pakistan is peaceful, nor it is, going through a normal phase, and by no stretch of imagination it is going to be, a stable country. It is a failed state. It is a rogue state. So what, the international organization, they should read between the lines that all these, masalas or all these kind of recipes are being served just a few days before these meetings,
right,
so that he can gain time.
So Pakistan is a rogue state, but it is creating havoc all over the world, no, Brigadier Datta?
Yeah, it is, and now you see there have been instances. Now there is a time that India should also stand because we have had enough, and now you see we have had a strike in Balakot. We have had earlier surgical strikes also. None of the nation criticized it because it was a strike against terrorism. It was not a strike against any nation.
Right.
It was not a strike against any military. So, if you are going to strike, like, what happened in Barisa and Kunitara attacks. So, if you are going to strike Pakistan on these terrorist camps, and we should not make any halla-gulla of it, we have enough intelligence, we have enough actionable intelligence, we should strike and annihilate these terrorist organizations and break their back. That is the only thing which can succeed.
Mr. Oja, as you heard Brigadier Datta, about we should target these people, and in fact I have been votary for that, because we know Masood Azhar openly moves openly, Hafiz Saeed move openly. So why, even the UNSC resolution sanctions have failed. I mean, Pakistan has not implemented those things also. So maybe India should itself carry out these attacks or target these who are the masterminds. I mean, carrying out Balakot attack is okay, one thing, they will shift one camp to another, that doesn't serve. But targeting the mastermind, like Osama bin Laden was targeted by US. What do you say?
Of course, targeting these masterminds and major figures, it gives a setback to such organizations, but that does not bring the entire phenomenon of terrorism. It cannot bring an end to this. And I say that, we need to have, it's a very complex warfare, Jaji.
Yeah.
I've written extensively on this, that even the most powerful democracy security establishment doesn't know how to fight this complex warfare, despite deploying most sophisticated strategies of conventional war, or you can say high-tech war. It was very high-tech even in Vietnam as per their context. In Iraq and Afghanistan, they have the total investment is 6 to 10 trillions or something like this, and that has really put them back. So this is very complex kind of war, I would say, and knocking out some of the top leaders, it has a limited impact, but you have to destroy the larger infrastructure of terror, and then you have to do it in a manner that is sustainable. It doesn't have heavy collateral damage. So yes, Balakot strike, etc., they did have some impact, but these have failed to entirely deter this thing. And this is why I've been saying that the world needs a very different kind of counter-terrorist strategy. Our whole governance apparatus has to be rather upgraded, I would say, domestically. And otherwise also, I say that it is India which has to spearhead, because United States of America, all said and done, they have instituted certain measures, homeland in the name of homeland security. And after 9/11, no major attack has taken place. But we are really at this thing. Pakistan as a land is part of our territory. Most of the people, even if they've converted to Islam, they were part of Indian civilization at one point of time. So it is we who is facing a civilizational war from Pakistan. And fortunately, in our favor, right now, the most of West Asia is very favorable to us. Turkey, presently, it is run by a lunatic, so it doesn't matter, what they say. And this person has nothing to do with Islam, because it has aligned with China. And China, we have discussed what it is doing to, normal devout Muslims in...
No,
So we have to spearhead the whole thing.
Yeah.
This is one aspect, and as I've said, it is not going to be resolved by this thing. We have to ensure that institutions everywhere, these are of a very high quality, because terrorism is one part, but now this affair, they graduate to something different. You see, we are saying, even in some of the peaceful agitations, etc., stone throwing, etc., or propaganda, etc., this is also part of irregular warfare. Even if you reduce violence, what happens if you have managed to alienate a lot of people, if you manage to stoke up, Islamist identity, then, and the world may not be very receptive to that.
No,
you manage to subvert institutions.
Mr.
What happens?
Mr. Oja,
Still you become unpopular.
Yeah, we are running out of time, because what I was trying to, maybe brief comments, because we have just 1 minute left. Why I was saying that Balakot, attacking one camp, they will shift to another. That doesn't serve them.
Absolutely.
But if you take out their leadership, it has at least demoralizing effect. That's what I was trying to point out.
No, certainly. If you knock out top leaders, it gives back.
Yeah.
But I say that, entire ecosystem for terrorism has to be decimated.
That's
there's no other country which suffers as much as India.
Right.
And therefore, initiative has to come from us.
Yes. So initiative has to come from us. It's with us, and we have to take the lead. And I agree with both of you, and I think there is consensus. But the time of this program is over today. Thank you, both of you, for participating.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Pleasure being on you.
This is all in the agenda today. Thanks for watching. I'll be back with another important topic tomorrow. Till then, goodbye.